Hi friends, weekly stock market update, and I have got 63 slides to get through for you. So let's start straight away. Right, where are we on valuations? Look, similar story. This is price to forward profits. In other words, the current share price compared to the expected profits going forward of the company. So you might think a pretty good measure of valuation. Actually, not necessarily, as you can tell, because the stocks in red, which are overvalued, have been the ones which have been rocketing ahead. You might say, well, that means they're overvalued. Actually, 6 months ago, they were like this. 12 months ago, 10 years ago, they were like this. So why am I showing it? Well, outside of some of the special circumstances like technology companies, such as, say, just regular companies like energy and banks, it can be a good measure. And we want to keep an eye on some of those other stocks which are in green, which suggest undervaluation. Okay. Now, as you know I say it every week, I will look at the whole gamut, not just the charts. Look at performance. Not bad, actually, given we were worried a month ago and 2 months ago that the markets wouldn't be rising and we might get a bit of a sell-off. And obviously people like Michael Burry were having to frequently change their underclothing because they were so scared of what was going to happen to the markets. What do we have? Well, we've got a hell of a lot of green, and it's spreading outside of technology, which is always something of a good sign as well. Let's look at price earnings growth ratios. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to look at exchange traded fund performance instead. It feels like one of those TV shows where you go, we're just going to go across to Richard Whiteley. No, we're not. We're going across to Angela Rippon. Shows my age. ETF 1 month performance right across the board. And I will do a more detailed video on all of this, or videos actually on all of this. But I just wanted to show a more broader picture on the funds side of things, and you can see, blimey heck, it's a rare occurrence where I can see exchange traded funds having this kind of double-digit performance in a month. Okay, so the ticker symbols are over there, and you can see everything from even China and emerging markets. Now, what I should tell you is when I've dove into some of these, like US sector and technology, actually I've not been particularly exhilarated. It's yes, those are big numbers, but actually when I looked at them, not so great. But what I'll do is I will do a more detailed presentation just on those. Where are we? Oh my lord, 46% up on the NASDAQ. You can see why, for people who haven't signed up yet, and you all have who are watching this, because this is the private version, they're about to get a price rise on the Great Investments Program, the other people, because we're going to index it to that number. Anyway, so that's where you are. We're up 46%. That doesn't, can I just let you know, that doesn't happen every year. Okay, in January, did I see that? No. So for those of you who got in January, of course, some of you have had a stonking great time. And for the rest of you, let's say you got in July. I mean, we were not to know that we're going to go downward a bit. Now we're up again. So don't worry. Don't look at just a 3-month period. We're going to look at a longer period, because we're going to capture these periods again in the future where, for some of my students, they've doubled their pension in a year. That's not typical. So even if we got 2 or 3 quiet years, those people will be more than happy, because they've done it not in 10 years, they've done it in 1 year. Okay, and the S&P is up 18%. So this is, in a way, what I'm trying to get you to do is to say to you, I want to motivate you to look at my broadcast at least on a Friday every fortnight, at least. Just do that bare minimum. Because if you don't do that, and you don't follow the flow chart of what you should do, then about 3 students I've got who all by coincidence happen to be business people who are so busy with their business, they're missing out on doubling their pension. I can guarantee you their business hasn't doubled in a year. Okay, so that's where we are with that. So it's just to give you that motivation. It's put it in your diary, please. It's the bare minimum you owe to yourself and your future self. Because I don't want you coming back to me at the end of the year going, oh, but I didn't have time to look at anything because I was too busy on faffing around with my business. How's the market been this year? And I go, well, you've just missed the opportunity to double your pension, mate. I actually have done a presentation of this, which I'll upload very shortly, which is, how do these stocks look, which have gone up the most in the past month? Anything of interest? And I'm going to show you, and actually there really wasn't, but I will do that broadcast. The other one I've done same for this as well, only because just out of interest, just for a bit of fun, gone up this much in a month. They're the top risers. Should we have a look at those? We're missing something here. And actually we weren't. There was too much high risk. So how's the S&P 500? It's tracking ahead All right, I suspect it's going to do this before it does that because I'm eternally realistic, not either pessimistic or optimistic, just realistic. So we've got this, and that's where we think will happen. And I think next year could be stonking. Having said that, look what happened in 2022 when we thought it could have been stonking. We had a bloody down year. That's why I do these broadcasts on Wednesdays and Fridays. So for you, you know your main man is looking after and keeping an eye on the markets, even if you don't get the time to. All right, so it's the least I ask you to do for your own sakes and your own portfolios. FTSE 100, I'm sorry, but I'm still a bit worried about that direction. Apple, very similar to the S&P 500, had a bit of a down move there. It shouldn't, listen to me carefully, it should not fall below here. However, for those who are into charts, that's a bearish divergence, a lower high where the price has made almost a higher high. It's not very bearish. And we expect this to go up, and we don't see any major problems with that. But it might just be getting us ready for that pullback I mentioned. It could pull back as much as that before going upwards. So we're not going to panic if it does pull back from 190 to 152. Would I buy it? We've only got 3 decisions to make. Buy, hold if you own some already, or sell. They're not selling. Would I buy it today if you put a gun to my head? Yes, I would. All right? Even though I already hold a load. Alphabet, same. We'll call it the Apple strategy. That's the direction we're looking at. We're going to keep an eye on these two. They're not out of the woods yet. We're not out of the woods yet. They're almost a bit like, you know, here, where you're thinking, okay, can it go up? Can it go? And then boom. I didn't foresee it would do that. I didn't foresee that after COVID. But I was positioned to take advantage of it. Okay, that's the point. It's not that we can see in the future. It's that we put ourselves in a position to take advantage should the future be very beneficial to us, because we can't control the future. Okay, this is what the analysts think, because the returns, as you know, Google to there, it goes there. Microsoft, you know my views on this, I'm going to repeat it, very much an Apple strategy, and I own a bucket load of it. If I could, I'd take over the whole company right now. But I don't have 2 trillion in the bank account, unfortunately. So that's what I'm thinking here. And that's the direction I'm thinking. You know what gets me? Why a foreign country hasn't taken it over? Because actually Disney's the only one you're not allowed as a foreigner to take over. All the other companies are open to hostile takeover bids. Okay, Amazon, there we go. I mean, why build an Amazon if you could just, as the British government, just take it over? There we are on that, and still happy with it. Okay, now this is what I keep telling you. You know, people say to me, oh, but what should I do with my portfolio? Once you've got it, you watch that, and this is where you're going to be most of the time. Has it been 12 months? No. Nothing to worry about. Has it fallen 25% from the peak since you bought it? No. Nothing to worry about. Then the only thing you've got to worry about is this. A bit like with NVIDIA. Depending on your risk appetite, and we'll come to NVIDIA in a second, how much do you sell based on how much of the fall? We don't trade our investments. So you might just say, well, only if it drops 25% will I sell all of it from the peak. But like last year, you know, Meta fell 10%, and I said, let's sell all of it. So sometimes that happens, we overrule, most times we won't. In cash, you know what to do, and this is where I am very much at the moment, with some special situations, right? PayPal, still not recovering. I wouldn't buy it today. Simple, got to the point for you, haven't I? Adobe, poof. You know, for months it goes sideways, and we think, oh, is anything going to happen? And you look at this, you think it should do. It should be bloody going up and even more, and now it is. It will get overboard at some stage, but the next target has to be that. Okay, so still another 10% at least to the upside. Warner Brothers, special situation. You know, we want it to go from there, not just this and then fizzle out, which is always the danger, but actually get to a far better level, hopefully double our money. But that is a high-risk special situation. High risk, high risk. I'll say it again, high risk. Do not do that for a bit of fun. I'd rather have Microsoft than Warner Brothers. Got it? Micron, all on target. Nothing really for me to say. Viva, a bit of a disappointment when it fell off. It's held on to support. Now it's bounced up. If you were to sell it, I wouldn't blame you. Okay. But it's been a good company. Disney, that was a special situation. Sorry, Warner, I don't think was the special situation. I put it on our Telegram channel. It was Disney, which was the special situation that I did. And that's where we are with it, and that's the projections, and nothing more for me to add. I've already said it. Would I buy it today? Yeah. But as a special situation, so on the approved filtered list, sorry, just slightly off the approved filtered list, but still a lot of good things going for it. Taiwan Semi, all fine, all on target. NVIDIA, now remember, the NVIDIA strategy is this, and look, it's got a red bar there. It means it closed lower than it opened. and it's done it in the past, nothing to worry about. That's the support there. If it falls below that, we'd be worried. So you might say, well, if it falls 5% below that, I'll set, which is X, I will sell Y. And if it goes to X1, I will sell Y1. And that depends on your risk appetite. And I've taught you that before in previous videos. Again, I repeat myself because it's bloody important. There we go, all fine. That's what we're looking at. No issues, no worries. Costco, come on, no issues, no worries. I'd buy it today. I'd buy JP Morgan today. I'd buy Microsoft, Apple, Amazon today. Tesla, it's just a bit more volatile. Now, we had it as a special situation. We made a lot of money. We got out of it. Some people are still in it. That's perfectly up to them. There's nothing I'm particularly worried about with this. It's just with special situations, I'm a bit more cautious because they're higher risk. So we got out of it sooner. Now, this has made a lot of money. And this is a bit tricky. Would I buy it today? Probably would if you put a gun to my head. It's not on Apple and Amazon because you can have some big falls very quickly. So that's why we have to watch things every week. But we've made a killing since the start of the year in this. Okay, and great. I can't take credit for that. The people at ServiceNow and the great things they do, they take credit for it. I ride their coattails and steal money off it. Okay, and it feels like theft when it's this easy, sitting on my fat backside in front of a computer making money. But yeah, they're the geniuses. I wish I was them because I'd be really proud of having created such a great company. Same with Salesforce. That's the direction we're looking at. Now, Cisco, just to prove to you, things can go wrong. What the hell? And it's happened before, it's flat. It's not quite bearish yet. So if, like me, you're risk neutral, you keep hold of it. If you're risk averse, you'd sell. Okay, Procter & Gamble. Now, these are more bellwethers, not ones I own, not ones that I'm particularly planning to buy. Still sideways, I won't buy it, but it's just to give you an idea of what's going on in the broader market. And it's important to know what's going on in the broader market. Similar with Johnson & Johnson, it's fallen off a bit. Yeah, it's a bit worrying for the broader market. It's not one I own, not one I buy, but maybe there'll come a time, maybe it's hit a base. And maybe you can go from there to there, but it's not one for me. But it's such an important main line stock. And similarly, Caterpillar, so we're not just looking at tech. It's not one I own, but a bit overbought. It's a bit like this, could easily fall off. You know, when it falls like this, it can be an early warning system that the markets are looking a bit off, but at the moment it seems fine. Walmart also fell off a cliff like Costco, probably for the same reason, by the way. So what am I looking at with this? It's sort of a bit sideways. I think it could go up there, and that should be the angle of inclination. I don't think it's a hard sell where it goes there. I think we've still got this, but I don't think it's a hard buy either at the moment. So I think if you're holding it, you continue holding it. If you put a gun to my head, I would buy it. Intel, well, look, we had to wait for ages, and then look what happened. We waited for absolute ages, then look what happened. It went up, and that still looks very promising, doesn't it? So that's all good. Globant on target, looks good. And so we are. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed that.